Hey, this is the Star Wars Squadrons podcast. I'm your host, Time Bomb, and this week with us we have a fellow bearded man, I think with a much nicer beard than myself.
Oh,
He got into the Squadrons community, I think a little bit later, but he's become, an integral part of it. Very excited to have him on and get his opinions. Jake from Nerdy Northerners, thank you for being here, buddy.
thanks for having me, Time Bomb. Much appreciated as always. It's good to be here. I've watched a few of these before. I know I always enjoy them, so it's nice to be here. Nice to be a part of this.
Awesome to have you on here because Nerdy Northerners is a brand that you kind of like started before Squadrons. I'm kind of curious, like how did Nerdy Northerners start? Like, how did you get that going originally?
Well, geez, I guess it is an idea of mine that I've had for I probably say close to 7-8 years of like a one stop. Like a one-stop shop. I used to work retail, so I use this phrase in a lot. A one-stop shop, but online, where you'll be able to go and get access to nerdy, geeky content, videos, streams, skits, performances, podcasts that are related for nerd and geek content. So we started out about 2 years ago with a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and
Nice.
we had it on Twitch, but like we did like we had no idea about sound. We had no idea about anything. We just put up a bunch of cameras and like, let's go, let's start playing, and so we did that for a few months, and like progressively we bought new equipment that allowed us to obviously change things, get better audio, but get better lighting, get better sound, and then slowly we began bringing some more people on for more ideas. Like we do our every Tuesday. Our longest running one right now is Game On, and that's been going on for about 2 years now. The four guys have they get together, they play games on the very co-op couch sense. They're friends of about 15 plus years, so they always enjoy getting together and just getting their game on. It's kind of the name of the show.
Okay, I got it.
And yeah, and so within that time frame, we've tried a lot of different things. We did a board gaming show, and that was going really good. We had a sponsorship lined up last March for like a video producing deal based off of our board gaming show, and then COVID came. So
yeah, kind of changed everything.
that unfortunately took a lot of steam out of the engine, stuff that we had going, and especially since a lot of our stuff was getting together, it was a little bit difficult for us to do what we had wanted to. So went back to the drawing board and kind of came back to things fresh with a new little spin, new look back in about December 2020, getting back a few of our stuff now that things began to loosen up here in Ontario. We began to gather again. And then more or less into like January, February, we kind of really kickstarted things with getting more of our community shows up, and it's our way of like, at least right now, getting ourselves out there. In March, even we went and started doing skits for Dungeons and Dragons in the woods. So I dress up as a barbarian. I'm a barbarian as part of like our skits.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of like a comedic flair and seriousness where we've got little interactions going on. So for instance, like one of the scenes we were shooting was my character, the barbarian, repeatedly charges in the battle over and over and over again, despite the party's conditions, just in that bloodlust.
Yeah.
And so like each time he's going in and the party's like, wait, he's gone. Wait, he's gone. And then near the final time, I get sat down by a couple of the party members and get scolded. And then flipping to that last scene, going to charge in again, and you're seeing that hesitation and flipping back to the party and flipping back to me, the dice locking and charging off anyways. So
I think that's a cool aspect that you're combining, like both your the gaming D&D stuff with actually like sketch stuff as well. Do you see yourself moving in that area almost with Squadrons at all? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, like a lot of what we want to do is, I mean, like some other channels, I guess I can say we draw inspiration from is channels like Geek and Sundry, channels like Viva La Dirt League, those kind of skits and stuff. So yeah, like even for Squadrons, I mean, getting the kind of gear and getting all that kind of stuff put together.
Yeah,
like it would be it's something that we definitely have thought about, and I mean, as things begin to open up for us, we're able to start looking around. We actually do have a list of Star Wars stuff we are looking for. We're doing some kind of like fun little fun
Hmm.
little skits, and
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's some kind of fun things we can do. So
for sure. I mean,
yeah, but I mean,
I love that aspect
I,
of it. It's Star Wars, so that's what I kind of wondered if I thought when this game was coming out and I knew it was a comp game. I
mhm,
almost wondered if the Star Wars lore aspect would be involved in sort of the comp scene, or if there was any sort of events or something like that, which they never really got into as much. But it's Star Wars. There's a lot of avenues for that, and I think people would be
mhm.
into it for sure. Like, look at the. I was just watching this the other day. Do you remember the little teaser cinematic that came out before the game did? It was like a 3 to 4 minute like
That
cutscene.
video,
Yeah, with
yeah,
the fight. Like that was amazing. Like that was so
where like the
hype.
guy goes crashing into the water and he comes out and
Yeah, you think he's gonna die, and you're kind of rooting for. It's a weird moment too, because you're like kind of rooting for him as an Empire pilot, and
yeah, yeah.
I mean, just because I
Uh,
hadn't seen it in so long too, watching like the animation and like seeing, I don't know, like hits like the countermeasure thing, just like seeing that, it was like kind of cool. It was like, oh wow, I forgot about this animation. So I kind of thought there might be more stuff like that, almost like for the game. Anyways,
mhm.
how did you guys move in then? So you started to reform Nerdy Northerners in the new year there. How did you end up playing Squadrons? Did you have a background playing any Star Wars games when you were younger? How did you find Squadrons?
Star Wars has always been something I've enjoyed. I will say like I've never been like the most like diehard Star Wars fan, and by that
Hmm.
like I don't own really any Star Wars merchandise or anything like that, and it's just been just a thing just I've enjoyed as a fan. Um, Something I want to pick up more of just as a more of a video game player. I've tended to like more of my collection is video game collector editions, etc. So Squadrons, I mean, for me was just something that like I've always wanted to play a space flight simulator game, and I want that feeling of over the comms being like, got a bogey on my, the guy
Yeah.
got me. You're flying, ripping around. The guy's flying behind you, gets him off your back. You're just that whiz and fly and the high intensity. I say it a few times. If there could be a 400 versus 400 Squadrons, I would be in fucking heaven. It would be so messy and
Mhm.
chaotic, but that would be like, there you go. That's it for me. Just seeing all the lasers and seeing all the ships
Yeah.
flying and
I feel the same
and
way. I mean, I would love 400 v 400, but I mean, 20 versus 20, a 40 game would be amazing. Imagine if you had not just like Splinter versus CA Gold, but you had like, I don't know, say you had like IG,
right.
Remnant, Cheese, Splinter versus Randos. I'm spacing out. Spicy, Tempest, Guac. You know what I mean? Just like two
Yeah.
different four squads. Like that would be crazy if there was four ISDs.
I
Like, yeah, I could be mad.
all those different AI fighters, just different squadrons,
Hmm.
like that'd be so intense and cool. And toss that in VR. So like Squadrons is there for me for that. So it really knocks off a lot of that bucket list. Obviously, it's 5v5, and you got the AI ships floating around. So that's kind of what actually for me had me gravitate towards becoming that AI player. But kind of what made me start to get into Squadrons was Game Pass. It became available on Game Pass. It's something I've been eyeing, and the way that I have Game Pass kind of configured for me here is that I just have the one membership, and me and my wife play. So for us both to play Squadrons, it's just I have to have a Game Pass membership, and I play PC. She plays on the Xbox, and it saves me $110 Canadian plus
Yeah.
tax. Yeah. So, and then so for me it was getting into the game and starting to fly around in my ship, and I started out as an X-wing X-wing pilot, and I would do these straight lines from about like 3,000 feet out, just straight at the cruiser. Lock on target, like I'm locking on. Okay, it won't guard me. Kept wondering why I was dying all the time, and I squared off against Zaltree and Co. in a game. And I remember a few of my other teammates were like, "Wow, like we're getting matched with all these high levels." The
Mhm.
typical Reddit kind of post,
Yeah,
right?
that's the way it goes.
and and I was like, come on, like they've just been playing the game, and then Squid had came by in the chat, and I think it was he who had mentioned me to watch the SCL finals between Randalorians and Cheese when Randalorians
Mm.
won 3-1, and I watched that final game, and watching those guys flying around the way that they were changed my complete outlook on the game. And I was like, damn, I gotta make myself look like that. I gotta make my screen be like whizzy fast, like
So this
just
is, yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what was, okay, so you're kind of coming into the game then that was February-ish, maybe something like that at that point.
April, beginning of
April? Oh
April.
wow, so it was that late? That's when SCL. Okay, so it was starting about then, and I'm wondering, like, so what do you think of the game then? As someone new coming in, and you see these high-end players, because you see people now, they're like, what are these guys? They're just exploiting it. What was your thoughts as someone new coming into the game then about the state of the game?
I mean, uh, personally, whenever I enter into any game, I just I guess I'm going to step back. As a younger teenager, I used to do a lot of competitive gaming. I used to play Halo 2. I made about a grand Canadian in tournaments around here,
Nice.
right? And Halo 3, I did a little bit of a dabble of as well, but not as much. Then I kind of dropped off. I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 on MLG, or not MLG, sorry, Game Battles competitively, and did a couple seasons on there where we ranked like top 75 out of 4,000 teams.
Nice.
So I've always known what it kind of takes to be on a competitive team, and that there's always going to be competitive players, and there's always going to be a best, and there's always going to be people that have mastered the game, and it's not something to be angry at, but to more like appreciate, and I carry with me a very I guess a willingness to learn and listen to people, and I will listen and learn from people who I deem to learn and listen to. Like, so I won't just listen to anybody come in and be like, you should do this. I'll be like, okay, I listen, and it's who it's coming from, and some of the first people to kind of come by and start offering tips was like Jareen, Rebel Pilot, Squid, Knight as well came by from Cavern Angels, and something that Knight said to me very early on in my level 50s that I still stick to this day was that, and that also kind of got me on a more determined path of Squadrons, was that this is a game that that everyone on the team has a role, and you have to have a team that understands that everybody on the team has a role. And if you don't have a team that has that understanding, then you're not going to have a good team. And I was like, damn, like that's exactly how this game is, because like there's roles to play. And so that's when I stuck with AI OBJ, and just kept going and going with it. I've enjoyed flying around. It's a ton of fun. I like the high intensity of it. I think that the back and forward of fleet balance, you got the offense, the defense. It's just a perfect balance.
So you had said too earlier that you know, one thing that you drew you to it was that it was a flight game with that like high intensity. Have you played any flight games before this one, growing up, or anything in the past?
The only other one I had played was like the Star Wars Battlefront versions of it.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, I've never been a fan of playing like the Ace Combats or anything, because I don't want to fly around in a Mark 7 fighter jet and all that. I specifically wanted that space combat.
I know. I mean, I feel the same way. I've never had the draw to flight sim games until this one. So it's funny though, because I played this one now, I'm much more interested in playing other flight sim games though, for sure. Like I have a HOTAS now. I don't use it for Squadrons, but I have one now that I may use for other games. Like I play on controller. Do you play on controller as well? How do you play Squadrons?
I'm keyboard and mouse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm keyboard and mouse. I forget what game it was for Xbox. That I think it was for Xbox or PlayStation 2, one of the two. There's a Star Wars game where you used to be able to fly around in ships. I played the shit out of that, and that was like my I want a space game. I knew it was going to be Star Wars because I didn't really think there was an IP big enough to kind of come around and be like, we're going to be that one. Like I've looked at EVE Online and stuff, and even that is just not. It's not the same what Squadrons can be and is. So yeah.
So I think the draw there is the Star Wars IP, just like you're saying. Like I mean, not like Battlestar Galactica. I mean, Star Trek doesn't have the same sort of thing, so it will kind of take something original. Also, what I found interesting too is like, you know, you talked about having like a Halo background, and myself, like I just before this game had been coming out, my big game was like Warzone. I had gotten pretty into that during the pandemic. So coming from a first-person shooter, this game does, I think, what Motive really nailed is they did a good job, I think, pulling over first-person shooter people coming into this and being like, oh, okay, the controls kind of translated for me as a controller player. Mouse and keyboard, I feel like for you, that's kind of a great, if you're used to playing that way, that's actually, I mean, it's rare for people to play mouse and keyboard on Squadrons, but they still do, and I mean, that's a lot of players play stick and keyboard too. So just the mouse control, like Gas was known for playing mouse and keyboard. How did you find, maybe because it was your first flight sim and you were used to that, maybe that made it easier to play mouse and keyboard?
You know what? It was hard at first. The
Mm-hmm.
first 50 levels were very, very, very difficult. And a big thing that I noticed with mouse and keyboard is there is no ground zero, level zero, however what term you want to call it. But on a controller, you're able to let go of the joysticks and it stops movement. Period. Right. With the mouse, no matter, like, you have to like purposely put that mouse right into the center and let go and raise your hand off the mouse. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it just it's very, very difficult to do. So I'm not sure if anybody ever watches me. Like watches my mouse rather, but if you watch that little reticle, sometimes I'm whizzing that around sometimes in some ridiculous ways. Like I do like a circular format when I'm coming in on like a frigate or anything, and I'm rolling my ship while doing that at the same time. I'm just barrel rolling. Rolls for days. And
do you think it helps your movement now that you've been playing with it? Like being that fast, being able to move your nose maybe quickly with it at all?
I mean, I seem to do pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought for a while there that I wasn't at like a competitive level, and it wasn't until the last Cal Cup that I kind of had a little bit of an eye opening and an abrupt one, because I know I've been flying and playing with a bunch of the Squadrons community for weeks and stuff, and being a streamer, there's always, you always have that, you're always attract because you're a streamer. So sometimes you'll end up getting somebody really good. Like I've played Rocket League before and had diamond players come on my team. They're scoring like 5-6 goals a game, and I'm like, what? So much fun. Like, and I'm not like anywhere near their level. But so like, for this one, I played a lot early with Knight and Ice Claire from Cavern Angels, and I played early with the Zaltry, Disaster. I played a lot with Rebel Pilot early on, and I've played with dozens and dozens, and I'd probably say played with close to 100 different Squadrons people at this point.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I flying with everybody. I was like, I always, I realized that I wasn't being a hindrance, but I didn't know that I was necessarily like always keeping up to, because it's that like I'm flying kind of under the radar. Everyone's going to want to target the other guys, and yeah, so it wasn't until the Cal Cup.
See, you say that, but that's not really how Squadrons works. People don't target good players. There's certain players who you're like, not worth the time going down the list, and Time Bomb, that's who we're gonna go for. Like there's certain people who get priority, not because they're good, because they're gonna be the fastest to kill. So you definitely, I think that's a big thing though. You play, and you've definitely, like you're saying, you're not just that though. You've transitioned into a competitive player who can pull his own, hold his own. And we're talking kind of about that mouse. I think that mouse movement kind of might help for it too. I think once you get it figured out, because the biggest drawback I've seen from my limited time playing mouse and keyboard, it's whipping that thing around, as it is hard to aim. Like I could not do player kills like with doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really gone after players too much, definitely. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just that combination of my willingness to learn and I listen to advice. And Squid came by, he showed me a bunch of like the ways that he has his setup. So I'm not sure if Squid's changed it since, but like pretty much like the way that Squid has his setup, I've got my setup. And yeah, I mean, the other thing too is obviously, like that Cal Cup week again, it was I had Zaltry come to me on the Tuesday night and asked me if I wanted to fly with Rancor that weekend, and I was like, well, damn, like absolutely, that's such an honor and privilege, like thank you. And again, like I didn't think myself to be there, and then the next day, Knight asked me if I would fly with potentially fly with Cavern Angels that weekend, and I was like, damn, like that's huge, dude. And then Jareen let me know on the Friday that he was going to ask me to potentially fly with Splinter if they were going to get a team together, and that he said, I already knew you were snatched up. So like damn, that's just like I was just hugely honor by that. And then I kind of clicked in. I was like, maybe I'm not so bad at this game. So
There
I
you
thought it was
go.
like okay. I didn't think I was like
Well,
half decent or like up
that's
there.
what I'm
But
saying. Yeah, you made your way right into the thick of it. I should just catch up. Leaf in the chat saying hey. Wookie says hey. Zoltry as well saying hello, Jake. And Leaf brought up a good point about when we were talking sort of about player kill and how the weaker players may be focused. Players do aim for the weaker links on team, and he thinks that's a problem, and that is kind of a problem too. I think in the game, but more and more, I feel like time to kill is actually naturally lowering because people are getting better at player killing. So I think it's just kind of going to work itself out as people play the game more for a few months. Time to kill will lower, and I just think it's a waiting game. I think by the Cal Cup final, PvP is going to be a huge factor, like we haven't seen in a while. But we'll see.
I mean, so like to that comment specifically, I will say that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. See, I come from a very competitive. See, I wouldn't even just say heavy background because I wasn't like a greatest competitive player, but just like even just mindset, I guess, is just an appropriate wording for it. Where if I'm in the other shoe, right, and I'm aiming to win a game, right, this is what this is. At the end of the day, I log in to win. I don't log in to lose. If I'm logging in to win the game, and I know that, let's just say Time Bomb is going to be, he's a little bit too elusive for me to shoot at, but I know that other guy over on the over there is an easy picking. That's just smart tactics. That's just I wouldn't say it's toxic. I wouldn't say it's that's just that's just fundamental smart decision of choosing who to go for. I mean, in Halo, I did the same thing, right? Like, I would know who on the team's the better gun skill. I mean, specifically for that, right? Like, Halo 3, I was in a tournament and we got beat by guys who came from Toronto. They said they're ranked 36th MLG. We lost 3-1, or sorry, 2-1 in the best of 3. So we went down the losers bracket. We won our way back up to face them again in the finals. And I realized they had a better gunshot. So I stopped playing their game. And I also realized that one of their guys was more hot-headed. So what I would do is I would shoot the guy, run away, have him chase me, go pick up bubble shield and regen, and throw them down and kill them every time. and we beat them 3-1 in a best of 5. And I mean, was it toxic for me to go after that guy because I knew that? I would say strategy, because that's how we won. I mean, and even being that weaker person during those times where I know that I've been targeted because I know that I'm that person, I think that just gave me more aspiration to become more elusive as a player, and just to learn those ways of, hey, I've got people on me. Hey, get them off me. Woo!
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and I think Luke, to Leaf's point too, he's like, yeah, for competitive play, he agrees. It's smart. I think he's saying his comments aimed, I guess, more at generic Squadrons contests, which I can totally see his point then, when you're like, because you see people do that. Like, if there's a level 100, they're like, I'm going to go after this level 10. Whereas, like, I mean, more generally when we play it, we would go after the other level 100 or whatever. Maybe farm them a bit if you needed to, but, like, you're not going to, like, you see these people sometimes go, like, 20-2 or something like that. And, yeah, that's not good for it necessarily.
I would say that, like, from the games that I've seen, I really haven't seen that many where it is that high. And there's something to be said too on the high levels and professional players in any gaming community at all still being able and allowed to have fun playing the game. Whether, like, whatever game it is, League of Legends, whatever, there's games where all of a sudden, oh my god, there's a pro on the other team, and you get stomped because the guy's good. But to get angry at somebody for logging in during their personal time playing a game, and maybe they've had a rough day and they just want to go Burt a bit. It's their game. It's it's part of the game. They're allowed to. They got the skill to do it. Does the person need to do it like every single game? No. That's not. I mean, that's a little different, right? If you're just constantly every game, just
just trying to pay it forward to the blood god to just get all the kills. That's not the way to go about it. I feel like it's kind of interesting because there is two sides of Squadrons, where there's that side of it. But I mean, Squadrons also has this really amazing community, which is well, I mean, you kind of tapped into it as well with the Galaxy of Hope fundraiser. We should talk about you setting that up because that's like also something that you've been doing not just from Squadrons, outside of that too, and it's continuing to happen since the event. So why don't you talk about the Galaxy of Hope a little bit?
Yeah. So, well, the Galaxy Hope again, I was mentioned to you just before. It was a kind of tournament idea we put together as a way to give back to the Squadrons community. Came in, hugely huge good response. Everyone being friendly and playing with me and Alicia and the rest of us here at Nerdy. So it was one of those things that, like, with every game that we play, we try to get the people that we play intermingled with us. And with most games, we've got like a dozen or so. But Squadrons, all of a sudden, it's like 50, 60 people. So it's like, oh, how do we do this without there being like, oh, you chose them, not me. So we went with the tournament idea, and it went from 4 teams to 8 teams pretty quick. And we're like, okay, they gotta cut it there. But yeah, so it was planned to be part of our Extra Life, and it was, obviously we ran it. The first of 3 streams that we wanted to do for 2021, they hit $4,000, and so our first stream's goal was about 1,250, 1,300. And with like the incredible response from the Squadrons community, I think at one point we had like 133, 134 people watching. So with that huge response and support, we were able to get up to 2,515. Actually, I think it's 2,540 last I checked.
Amazing. Over halfway through the goal. Yeah, that's great.
And
doubling what you anticipated. It's your stretch goal. That's great.
Yeah, so that was incredible, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun to cast. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. A Little Hammer came out and co-casted with me there, and he absolutely nailed the first couple hours. Just doing what he does, being the awesome caster, and then I tried my best to finish up there in the evening. And I mean that ending, like, I was on the edge of my seat. I was super excited. I was like, damn, like I don't know, I couldn't have even planned a better ending. IG and Cavern Angels going to game 5, like a base race for the win. Like, oh my god, nail biter.
Yeah, like lately it's kind of been a little bit of Cavern Angels and IG kind of facing off a lot in a lot of stuff. So that was another. I think that was right before that Hell Cup final too. So that was kind of interesting too. Kind of set the stage.
Yeah, well, that was it, like the rematch, and I going into the tournament, I had that thought. I was like, wouldn't it be something if somehow they were able to get there, and they were, and that was a crazy way to have that ending. And but yeah, I think what I mostly enjoyed out of the Galaxy of Hope, besides obviously the support from the community, but was a couple DMs I received. One from Dynasty, just showing a screenshot of how everyone had gone into the Discord and was just chatting with everybody, just kind of chilling in the channels, and that was really cool to see. That was cool to see, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, but he had said to me along the lines of that, like, this is the first time this has kind of like happened in the Squadrons community. So I mean, I imagine something like that's happened before, but I was like, I'm very.
The closest thing I could compare it to is earlier in the year in October, November, there was a 5-man's Discord, and we would kind of play out at that. So you'd have your team in there, kind of searching and stuff. And so, but it wasn't the same thing because there would be like different channels with all the teams. This is everyone in one channel, just chatting, and like it was honestly like a very cool element to the whole event as well. That all the teams were kind of in there, kind of going over stuff and just chopping it up as well. So that was really cool, and honestly something I may look to do a little bit more in the SLS, and even if we could kind of get some of that on broadcast thing too, the SLS Open, maybe learn from that and kind of get involved. That would be really cool.
No, I mean, it was really cool to see that, and to have even been a part of making that a possibility, getting everybody together. I've said before many times, the Squadrons community is an amazing group of people, and it's I'm almost almost in a way surprised that it hasn't it isn't a regular thing, but hopefully after this event that things like that can be more common and ground just having a good time with everybody, and big community, everyone's out here to have a good time, and we'll definitely be looking to do another Galaxy of Hope tournament in near the end of August.
Wicked, great. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, so we're planning that out now. So that's our second planned stream one, and then we do have another planned stream for November. I think beginning of November. So we might. I mean, if the community wants to help us do it, I mean, obviously we'll definitely run that. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of pie. I won't lie, my beard by like 9-10 p.m. that night, it was beginning to stink something of milk. Oh man, it was getting bad. I was like, oh man.
So what's your plan? So right now, actually, just to update too. So you've been playing in SCL as well, and what are you doing for Cal Cup as well in the next coming up here? What is going on there? Why don't you break it down for everyone?
So SCL, also Rancor Zoltry invited me to play with Rancor out of Cal Cup, and then after that, he invited me to just play with SCL or play with them in SCL for Manager of the Year. So doing that. As far as I know, I'm not doing anything for Cal Cup. If anything, they probably end up going with what Zoltry and Rancor are doing. If they're not entering, then I guess I'd probably be a free agent or mercenary, whatever that term would be for the Cal Cup. But yeah, no plans for the Cal Cup currently. Kind of, see how things end up. The last time they ended up pretty good, so
work itself out. Cool. And what's your plan with streaming and everything moving forward? What's the future for Nerdy Northerners? What kind of stuff should people look out for on the channel?
Well, we want to obviously get into a lot more various stuff. Right now, we're pretty.
Oh, wait, actually, just to update you, I'm going to interrupt. Zoltry says that you are entering, just so you know.
Oh, there you go. So that's what I'm doing. There we go. So we'll be in the Cal Cup.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Sorry. For Nerdy Northerners, then moving forward as well, what is the channel looking for? What's the plans with everything there, content creation wise?
So like right now, like we do a lot of gaming because it's the easiest thing to do remotely. For Dungeons and Dragons, like like we could do virtual campaigns, but our thing is that we spent about 1.5 to 2 years building like Dungeons and Dragons terrain sets, like physical terrain sets, painting miniatures and all that kind of stuff. So we're not really like we really want to have that being the focus and kind of like that showcase with camera angles and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
We've been waiting the things to open up. Now they are. We have our campaign, and we have one campaign launching and a return to we did a battle royale show where contestants would come on, they bring a character, they duel each other in a 1v1v1v1 free for all. Whoever wins is the winner, and
that sounds amazing. I love battle royales now.
Yeah, right. So it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's 5e. So someone's a paladin, someone's a fighter, someone's a rogue, someone's a ranger, or whatever it have be. There's game types too that we do. We do like capture the flag. We do like a domination. Do things like that. So that's coming back around August. Both those will be about August. And you're just starting to get into more of the other things that we had rolling around again, like the Dungeons and Dragons. Board games are looking to get back into as well. We used to do more like a board game show where we have the game played, play it over 2 hours, answer questions, etc.
Might be cool to do a Squadrons almost board game night too, or something maybe even at some point. Might get, because there is those like tabletop games that I know I talked to some people who have been into.
And that's another area too, is like Warhammer and like the Star Wars tabletop game. Like pretty much like when it comes down to content that that we will look towards and do, it's anything that's pretty much nerd geek related. So tabletop gaming, again, podcast, cosplaying. Even we've got a few ideas for cosplaying shows. We even want to get down to, instead of just always doing live shows too, like part of where we're going with the skits and stuff is like a long-term goal would be to actually make like a dedicated show series or make a dedicated movie even.
That'd be awesome.
So like a few episodic Dungeons and Dragons kind of campaign, in the woods between characters, stuff like that, 20-30 minute long episodes, couple seasons, that's like that'd be kind of like towards our end goal of kind of like content creation production. So we have a few local guilds that do LARPing as well that we have some members a part of that we're able to get equipment out of and get some scenery kind of shots out of. So
they have all the gear, the equipment, the costumes probably, so you can kind of work with them to create the right aesthetic and scenes and everything.
Yeah. Are you a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons by chance?
I'm not really into it. I just, I've had friends who are over the years. I've just never done it. So
Mhm.
I appreciate it as a game. You know what I mean? I've just, I don't know why I've never done. I'm surprised I've never played it. Like I've literally been at hanging out with people's places while they've been playing it, but I just haven't really.
There's a gentleman about an hour and a half out of Toronto to your east in Port Hope there that he's like the mastermind of pretty much like the main Dungeons and Dragons world.
Wow.
So I've had the honor of meeting him and being a part of actually a skit of his before. So would love to do something with him down the road or some others in that regard. But yeah, so that's kind of our future goals. There is to start making more like video production content, even something Squadrons. Getting some Squadrons costumes and doing some green screening. Work with that.
Hey, talk to me. I got a green screen. I'll do stuff.
We can work some magic.
Yeah, we'll figure I messed around a little bit, but I haven't quite figured out what I want to do in that area, but tried to think of a few things that haven't really panned out. But yeah, I feel like I said earlier, I feel like there's just, with it being Star Wars, there's so many opportunities to kind of do stuff that way. Also, update in the chat there, Wookie suggested that Nerdy Northerners squad and 3PO, and then Zoltri said, yeah, me, Jake, and Hamadi. So now you're signed up for the 3PO League, too, just so you know that happened here.
North Squad? There you go, North Squad.
You're busy, yeah. Your schedule's filled up just as you've been on the podcast here. You're a couple of weekends and weeks now.
Yeah, and I've got a few other things in the work as well. I just partnered up with the SPL Squadrons Premier League.
Oh, nice.
I mean, and it is just a general comment on that. I really do want to try providing more coverage because I do feel that like Squadrons is a great game. I feel that it's maybe not getting as much coverage as it can through broadcast. So I'm hoping that through what I can do with the SPL, just providing like a high flashy level entertainment kind of package. I really want to do almost along that lines of like an ESPN, TSN kind of performance. And yeah, I've got a bunch of fun graphics I can work with and like scorecards and all that kind of stuff. So I can really make it flashy. And
hey man, I mean, I was kind of doing something similar with the the SCL coverage. So if you want to collaborate, hit me up. I'm down to work on that stuff with you too. So yeah, let me know.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, that's the one thing. I know it's a big undertaking, like because I kind of did it there, and it was kind of tough because of the casting with the SCL kind of went. It just kind of went away, so it was a little tough for me to stick with some of that stuff. But I would love to do it. So yeah, let me know if there's anything there. Let people know too. I think everyone probably just let people know where all your different handles online that they can reach you.
No, it's pretty much just Nerdy Northerners. That's more or less my gig there.
I'll have the links in the description. So Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. It's all Nerdy Northerners.
Yep.
The Discord as well.
Twitter's and Northerners, but we couldn't put nerdy. There's too many letters.
So I'll have all those link. Time Bomb, help Cadet Cup, please. How do you want me to help it with casting, with coverage? Sure, I'll do definitely coverage on everything. Just time, I can do it though.
I mean, yeah. So like SPL, we've got it right now. I think 12-4 on Saturdays. And I don't think we have any games for this week because this week they had a duo. So it's I think more starting next week that on 12-4 teams can slot themselves in. And if they want to have their games cast at that high level that we're going to put out, then they can. And then I think every Wednesday we're going to be releasing a video that's going to be kind of what you're doing for the SCL.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll hit you up with the with some of the things I've been working on. We'll get in touch with making some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always fun to do some video work, and I think that I won't say too much on this, but I think that the game in general, I hear a lot of comments saying that the game is dead and the game is this, and I personally don't feel that.
As someone who has played this game since release, we have a meme in our chat that's like, it's official, the game is dead. We've been saying that since December. So like, no, the game is not dead. The game is the game has never even been on life support, but it does have it sometimes has trouble walking a little bit, but the game is not dead. The game is alive and well.
Yeah, I think a big thing right now is especially all these new players coming in is to to show them like they got to see Mandalorians beating Cheese in that 3-1 thriller of a SCL final. So
Well, I mean, I love Fleet Battle stuff. I think it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I think the dogfighting stuff is something different that's also very approachable to people to understand. Fleet Battle's like, I didn't understand it. I'm like, what? Like, the game mode is kind of complicated for someone coming in. I think it looks really awesome in streams, but I think dogfighting is actually a little bit more understandable. I feel like also like the SLS Open play I'm playing, I feel like that's another same thing. It's a little different. It's kind of like I feel like it appeals to people who aren't necessarily just into the PvE side. Hopefully we can see a different audience in the game from there too.
what's this the SLS, the which?
So the SLS Open is a race that I'm kind of like setting up. It's an event it's a racing event that's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically a race through thing. Also, I'll show you the details afterwards. Leaf makes a great point though too. Like you adding more coverage to the dogfighting league. He's convinced it hasn't fully been tapped into yet, and I think he's right. I feel like there is a lot more potential for a dogfighting league to get showcased more.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been in talks with Marenta about a lot of things, and I mean, there's like we're getting involved a little bit with season 2 since it's already kind of underway. But season 3, we're looking to get ourselves a lot more involved, and I mean, it's I have a few ideas for how I think things can get really sharpened and really showing off, especially again having a dogfighting league, having a major fleet battles league, and having those games showing off at that high level performance. That it's unfortunate that there's not an EA big league behind us or some other big professional source doing it, but I mean
or Disney. Hey Disney, get into the esports market. You don't want that? Like, what the heck? I honestly can't believe it wasn't an avenue for Disney, because like they seem to have their hands in like every pie, but not this one yet. When there's so that kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, I'm open with that because for me, nerdy is my work, so I do have that flexibility where I can say, hey, I can put this out at this level and I can get it done. So I kind of how I had it during the Galaxy of Hope with the stuff and the video they made up there, and just kind of like fun little things that'll hopefully just highlight, showcase things a little more, and especially try and bridge that gap between that high level play and the players that are on their way up, giving them something to watch, something to see, and to generate excitement, because this game is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
It's the reason it's my favorite game of the last decade. That's for sure. Jake, thank you so much for being on the pod, man. Anything to leave us with? I feel like you covered all your socials and everything. Anything else you want to leave with off at?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. I think I'm playing Squadrons tomorrow morning, so anybody wants to fly around,
there you go,
come play.
So this will be when the podcast is going to come out 9 a.m. Friday, July 9th. So you were playing when on Friday? What time?
Oh, is that tomorrow? 9th?
Yes. That is tomorrow.
11 a.m.
There you go. So you check out the podcast, and then you can check out his live stream right away there. That's
right.
Convenient. That's right. Convenient way to end it off. So thank you, Jake. Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening to it. Everyone checking it out on the live stream. I'm Time Bomb. You guys are awesome. And we'll catch you next time.
Take care.
517 scanner control.